Sean Payton getting announced as the new head coach of the Denver Broncos and the merry-go-round that was for Denver and their entire coaching search. Now, I read today he's reportedly getting between $17 and $20 million per year. Could be higher than that. And I think he was actually looking for between $20 and $25 million. And the picks that the Broncos had to give up to get this guy. And now all the combined picks they've given up the last 2 years to get Russell Wilson and Sean Payton.
Yes. I think it's enormous for the Broncos. It's good for the league. We need the Broncos relevant again. 7 straight seasons without making the trip to the playoffs. How bad the offense was. You got to be all in here. I mean, if he can't fix Wilson, it's a disaster. And then maybe they might throw their hands up after this year and say, well, that's it. We have to just eat this and go in a different direction. But just think about what kind of quarterback Drew Brees was in San Diego. And what Peyton made him a superstar and how great he is as an offensive mind. So they were great defensively, but between Hackett and Wilson, and they were just a horror show on offense, and they got to turn this around. And certainly, I know it looks like he was their third choice, but I think it worked out for the Broncos here. You got to get this organization turned around.
Yeah, I think they actually had more choices than 3. I know you're going to bring up Harbaugh, D'Amico Ryans, the story that happened yesterday there was a, right? A fisticuff almost.
Sure. Rappaport and Schefter.
A Twitter fisticuff between those two. And was it really coincidental? Was it their third choice? Did they actually go to other? Well, if you go back to, and this is probably, 2 months ago now, Hackett was still the coach. I was told from a very good source at that time that it's already a done deal. Like, Hackett's not coming back. That they were going to bring in Dan Quinn, but they had to wait out the Cowboys season before Quinn could accept the job officially, right?
Yeah.
So then once we got to this point, they talked to Quinn, but even Quinn's like, I changed my mind. I'm going to go back to Dallas and be the defensive coordinator. And I said that on the air, like, if you had to make a bet right now, I wouldn't put it on Dan Quinn. Well, he changed his mind. Because there was talks when the season was going on for him to be the guy. So no Quinn, no D'Amico Ryans, no Jim Harbaugh. They all talked. And now believe what you want yesterday between Schefter and Rappaport, whether or not they actually had to go back again to the well because Ryan said no to them one more time.
I believe Rappaport. Yes, because they didn't want to give up picks for the coach, right? The money's one thing, but they didn't want to give up more picks.
And I don't blame them for that because, feeling it out, see if they could get a coach before giving up more picks because of what it took to get Wilson last year.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is it's got to be refreshing for this organization because you went Joseph, Fangio, and Hackett back to back to back. And now you get a good coach who's won a Super Bowl. 16 points per game, dead last. Last on third down. 11 times they were held to 16 points or fewer.
Yep.
Think about that. So while you were thinking the Quinn angle, the defense wasn't the problem. You got to fix Wilson in this offense. And if you can fix Wilson, that should be a playoff team, even if he's average. But it was the close loss. At one point in the season, they were number 1 in scoring defense and last in offense.
Oh, yeah.
So think about that, how bad this was offensively.
Paul,
it's historic that you score. That's 11 times you're held to 16 points or fewer.
They had 9 one-score losses on the year.
There's another one.
9 of them. They allowed 253 points through 14 games, 18.1 per game. That was good enough for second in the league before tapping out. The defense kind of quit on the season. They gave up 51 on Christmas Day to the Rams. They were 8th in yards per game, allowed 6th in yards per play. They allowed 8.5 points per second half, 7th best in the NFL, and it was a touchdown before the final 3 weeks, which was number 1 in the entire league. And so where are you at now with this team actually bouncing back? Because I'll ask you this. What if they win 7 games next year, 2 more than this year, but Russell Wilson's the same guy?
Well, you're in trouble.
Does Peyton get a pass?
Yeah.
Or are we going to... Will he? Or will... You know how this world works.
If you can't fix him, you would just say he was...
It's Russell Wilson's cooked at that point.
Yes.
So
you have to go in a different direction.
Where are you? Okay, so do you think Wilson... How do you look at that entering next year? Do you trust the first decade of his career where he was awesome and a top 10 quarterback and a Hall of Famer in Seattle? Or is it possible that last year was really what we're going to see from Russell Wilson moving forward?
I think it'll be a little... He can't be. He's not as bad as he was last year, but he wasn't as good as he was in Seattle. We won a lot of games because of the defense, but you could also say who was Baldwin. I mean, the guys he was throwing to. But I think he came on at the end of the year There were a couple good games that he played. He played well at Kansas City. He played well to close the year against the Chargers. I think Payton will be able to fix him.
Yeah, see, I'm not going to write off
MVP level. I don't think we'll see that again.
I don't think so either.
No.
I'm not going to write off the Broncos and Russell Wilson because of what we saw last year. I think that's kind of making a mistake. Right. I have to be patient, and I could eat those words come October 1st next year.
Right. Now, should you move the Super Bowl odds as a result of this? I don't think so. But
not like some books did. No. I mean, I'm noticing as low as 20-1 of the Broncos. That's because of the coach. Come on. I'm seeing 45-1 at some spots.
I think the Broncos are big winners, even if he was their third or fourth choice. McCarthy's a big winner now that he's locked up in Denver. So now Jerry Jones isn't going to say, well, win this year or else I'll go to Payton. So that works out for McCarthy, and they get rid of all his assistants, and he's supposed to call the plays. But this could come back to haunt this organization for a long, long time. If the Chargers get rid of Staley and hire this guy, that's dangerous now. He has Herbert to work with in that offense. Chargers organization may have blown a big opportunity.
Oh, that would have been the team.
Absolutely. Made the most sense.
I think out of any, forget the Cowboys even for a second, because of Dak, the difference between, to me, Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert, there is a pretty big gap there. I love Herbert. If Payton goes there with all that talent on it, they're not going to blow that game against Jacksonville.
There's also not expectations. You're not America's team.
Right, correct,
right. Yeah. I mean, you're flying under the radar there.
They have no fans in Los Angeles.
No.
So, I mean, that guy could go there and work wonders and be there for, until he's 75 years old if he wanted to be. So the Broncos do have expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen this now because they're not. That is a very football-hungry part of the country. And they are a proud organization that has, by the way, won a lot over the years.
Yep.
So Payton does need to figure this out. And that basically it all boils down to what we're talking about. They have to fix Russell Wilson.
And then since Manning left, it has just been a motley crew of horrible quarterback play. Yeah. And you thought you had it fixed and solved that problem with Wilson, and you didn't. No, and it goes back to Elway, who of all people, Elway couldn't decide and evaluate talent at that position.
Couple of things I do like that they're going to be working with. And again, I will trust that Wilson's going to be much better than this year. Don't forget, they lost Tim Patrick before the season started. So their trio at wide receiver, it was going to be Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, and Tim Patrick. That's pretty damn good. And Patrick never played. He's a really good weapon. And then I'm a huge fan of Javonte Williams. They lost him immediately.
Yeah.
Guy's a complete stud at running back.
And Gordon kept fumbling.
Of course.
Right. He didn't have a chance, though, with Hackett. He had no idea what he was doing.
No.
I mean, again, it's an all-timer. The crowd chanting down the play clock because they couldn't get the play in. Were you surprised Ryan took the Houston job? If he could, because
No, not surprised at all.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's where he played.
Okay.
And he was the shortest shot on the board, I believe, right, to take the Houston job.
I'll tell you what's interesting now is Fangio was saying, wait a second, not a done deal. Could Fangio now go to San Francisco?
He could.
Because this is multiple places said it was a done deal. He's the DC at Miami. He says it's not done on my end.
Yeah.
So now he's probably waiting this out with Ryans, who leaves. He could come in and be the DC in San Francisco.
Could be. I would actually, that's the way I would look at it. If I'm him, I'm going to say, I'm going to change my mind on that.
Yeah.
By the way, this one, it kind of reeks of, going from Hackett to Payton is almost the same on paper as what Jacksonville did this year. Going from Urban Meyer.
I agree with that.
To Doug
Sounds
Peterson.
about right.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's by the way, another one I'll throw out there. It's kind of like going from Hugh Jackson, Freddie Kitchens, to what Stefanski was able to do in his first year. Now, Stefanski, it's kind of worn off a little bit there in Cleveland, but he did a great job in his rookie season there.
Yeah. And there was a lot of things of Wilson going rogue and doing bizarre stuff with the play calling and how he was acting. And
don't forget,
Payton will make all that. It's Payton's offense, so.
Don't forget about that.
Oh, sure.
I mean, those reports that came out of Denver, that he was still calling out audibles as if he was the Seattle quarterback, and players in the team are like, what? What are you saying? I don't even know that language.
Plus, they knew early on that Hackett was in over his head in a buffoon.
Oh, my God. You knew after the Monday night game.
Yeah, sure. All Payton has to do is flash the ring. And just look at my resume. Look at my record. Look what I did with Drew Brees, right?
Visit VSiN.com to get current odds, listen for free, find showtimes, and download VSiN sports betting podcasts.